What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the Master Builder Archenemy, or as you may know him, Scourge or Nemesis Prime. To me, he's Scourge because A, I feel like Scourge has transcended RID, Nemesis Prime is just a black repaint, and B, obviously this is the truck that Scourge was in RID, so yeah. Now, as you may expect, he is going to eventually get a G2 Optimus Prime repaint. I don't know if that'll come with a trailer or anything. I know this one doesn't, but it looks like he's got a place for it, possibly. Who knows, maybe it'll come later. An awesome chrome trailer base would be pretty cool. That said, given my collection, I don't know if I would get it or not, to be honest, as cool as it is. Let's not beat around the bush too much here. This guy is amazing. So anything I have about this guy that is negative is completely a nitpick because I feel like it could have been done just a little tiny bit better. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that anything negative is solely a nitpick, and I highly recommend this guy. One thing that's also kind of fun about this, and I'm not the only person who's noticed it, these tires are made out of like a rubber material. They don't really compress very well, but they're definitely rubberized. The thing about him is like, this guy's been sitting at my desk for work for probably a couple weeks now, and every once in a while, and it's definitely present when you open the box, you get this whiff of like opening a 90s Ninja Turtle. It's the same kind of like rubber plastic smell, so I don't know, it's kind of fun to me. Nitpicks on this guy, I feel like these like steps here, I don't know if they're gas tanks or steps. I think I never know with trucks if these are the fuel tanks or the air brake tanks. I think they're the air brake tanks. Anyway, this step piece sticks out way too far. I wish it compressed in a little bit more so it was flush with this part of the truck. Like if we cut off maybe this much, I think it would look better. Unfortunately, it can't. I feel like there could have been something done to bring it in there, but what can you do? It's not that big of a complaint. The other thing that I don't particularly like is the actual canister here. I wish there was something that kind of went right up to here. It does look a little incomplete in certain angles when you see that gap just like that. I don't know. I feel like something could have been done, but it's very inconsequential. And the final thing is, these toes, like they just kind of stick off the back straight like this, and I do wish, given the care they give to some of the other pieces, that maybe these folded completely flush up into here. I don't think it would have caused any stability issues, and it would just make the back of the truck look that much better, in my opinion. Other than that, beautiful silver on here. It's not chrome, but it catches the light real nicely. The headlights, you know, they're just a red paint. They could use something. Same for these. I'm sure Repro Labels will come along and make something. And this, like, wind vane piece on the front, like, part of me really wants it like a chrome silver, or at least a silver that matches this. I think would be awesome looking. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would look real nice if it was silverized there. Nice chrome smokestacks here. Very nice. And these little blue details, or teal details, I guess, that go through the truck just look very nice. Yeah, so overall, I am super pleased. And every time I saw pictures of this guy, I forgot how big he is. Like, I know he's masterpiece scale, but it just looks so much like the toy of Scourge that I think your brain, if you've messed with the toy of Scourge, expects him to be that big. But then you get him next to an MP car and you're like, holy smokes, he is enormous. Yeah, this obviously being the G2 Sideswipe, who I think looks awfully villainous next to this guy. So maybe he comes from the same reality as this guy, where Autobots are actually Decepticons because, you know, that reality, the Autobots are bad guys. I don't know. Use your imagination. It's my shelf. I'll do what I want with it. Here is the Generation Toys Jazz. Again, looks really good next to this truck. So let's talk our final nitpick for the vehicle mode. It's that the only accessory he has is the sword, and given he has no trailer or anything to put it in, there's just nothing to do with the sword. I mean, you can't plug it in. There's nothing on the bottom that it would plug into. It would be really nice if there was something that we could do with this sword. So the transformation on this guy is simplistic and satisfying. The first thing we're going to do, just make sure you get these little pieces out of here because they kind of clip into these little pieces here. But the first thing we're going to do is pull the legs all the way down. They'll clip in nicely. This panel here folds all the way back to expose a little bit of like pistons on here, so fold both of them back. Obviously the toe just folds forward and the heel folds back on both sides. And then this part here, so it doesn't stick out so much, you just kind of push it and it'll clip down. Just like that. So we've got his legs done. Like I said, nice and simple. No real complaints here. We'll come to, let's drop this just a little more. We'll come to these wheels here, and once again, these will go up. You'll see that that actually raises the whole front lights on the truck. You want that up like that. Take these pieces, fold them in, and fold them all the way up like this. So in and up. We can get in here and just try to find a place to grip it and pull this thing up and bring it flat up like this so you can see inside of his body there. From this point, we're going to bring his arms so they're kind of sideways like this, and just split them, and you have to kind of play around with this a little until you find the right angle that this part will kind of come up, and you'll see it just barely clears. Bring it all the way down and then bring the shoulder. From there we can bring the arm down. We'll open this up, bring his fist out, close it back up, and you can see now why this compartment is so big, but again, I still think it could have been made a little bit smaller. So we'll come to this other side, bring it around, find the perfect angle and swivel this around. Bring this down, open it, swivel the fist, close it back up. There we go, there's the second hand. And now we'll get to the head portion. So from here, you want to lift this piece, but I find it impossible to lift this little black piece. So I always open this a little and it just brings that up. Once you have it, close this down and open it all the way like this. Now the head is probably the trickiest part because you want to bring it out, and then the head cannot be facing the right way. You actually have to turn it like this, and that'll buy you the clearance to get it past all the truck bits up here and bring it all the way down, and then we can bring it back the other way. Once we have that done, we can go ahead, close up the roof of the truck, close this little panel here, and now these pieces flip around and inside, just like so. And from here, all you have to do, compress this chest so it looks nice. And we'll clean up this shoulder also so it looks nice. And there we go. We've got our Scourge in his robot mode. And I gotta say, he's very impressive and very imposing looking. The sword here, just if you look in his hand, you can see the channel in there. It just goes in and then slots into that channel. So he holds it like a champ. That sword is going absolutely nowhere. It will never come out of his hand when you don't want it to. I mean, I don't want to say never. I guess it could happen, but it's unlikely. The head, gorgeous head sculpt on this guy. It's a shame that black is kind of hard to pick up. Let's see if we can adjust the lights here and get it a little bit nicer. There you go. Now the eyes were a light piped red, and I think it's a terrible decision. There's no access to the light piping on here. One thing that's weird is it almost looked like they were going to have like a light up gimmick in here and scrapped it at the last minute. So if I were you, I would take his head apart, it's not very hard, and give his eyes a red coat of paint and then put it back together. That's what I did. Articulation, it's an MP10 head. I mean, for the most part, it swivels up and down and it swivels left and right. no problems. The little like antenna things can rotate so you can have them wherever you want them. Coming to the shoulder here, you have a good range here. Just be careful of his antenna. Antenna's out of the way. I guess you can get them like that, but then you also have this joint here, so I mean there's plenty of motion out of that arm. It rotates on this piece. Just be careful of this little mirror in the back. It would have been nice if they folded in for transformation. Like you saw here, you do have this joint here. It's just a friction joint. It looks like it should have been ratcheted, but those would be some big ratchets. So the friction I don't have any problem with, at least right now. He doesn't feel like anything's gonna happen. And this part is friction, or ratcheted, so you know, even if this kind of, I guess if it loses it completely it wouldn't be good, but you can make it work. Bicep swivel, elbow again on a friction joint. The rotation of the wrist is just on a mushroom peg. You have the 3 fingers together, and then the single finger, the pointer, has 2 pieces of articulation up here and then at the knuckle. No gun with this guy. The G2 guy, the G2 Prime is going to come with a gun. This guy doesn't. I feel like he should have, because Scourge came with the gun, so why not? But I guess they want you to have different pieces. The chest does not open on Scourge, even though you can see the pins and stuff in there. Don't try to force it. The G2 Prime will have an opening chest with a matrix inside. Waist, you do have a waist here, completely unimpeded by the back of the truck, so that's real nice. Coming down to the legs, ratcheted forward, a little limited by the molding here, but not a big deal. Not as hindered on the back. Can get a nice side to side, almost a 90-degree angle with his other leg. Not a problem. A thigh swivel. A double jointed knee, so you got the lower joint down here, but you also have the upper one, so I mean, what more do you need out of his knee than that? Coming down to the foot here, you do have an ankle tilt. Again, it's a friction joint. It could have been better if it was ratcheted in some way or something, but I don't know. What can you do? It's not a killer. And then obviously you saw that the toe can rock here. And then I believe, yeah, because of how this is jointed, you do get a little in and out with it, but it's hard to move that piece. I don't even know if you can really see it because of the black on the white background here. But yeah, I mean, great articulation out of this guy. And one thing that, you know, if you want the G2 version of this mold, I highly recommend it, because I feel like this guy has made me make some purchases that I was not planning to make. I mean, I was already in on the transformation Stunticons. Let's just bring them in here for a comparison. And I think he looks just fantastic. Let's get this sword out of the way. There we go. He looks fantastic next to these Stunticons. I have the MP exhaust. He looks great with that. I had no intention to, and then consequently ended up picking up the MP loud pedal. Also looks fantastic with him. Like, I just feel like my Decepticon vehicles are growing, which is also why Sideswipe is going to get repurposed as a dimension hopping evil Autobot. Yeah, that just looks so cool. I mean, he just makes you want to get more and more evil, you know, vehicles to put around him. And of course, since we would be remiss if we left him out, here he is next to an MP10, this being the Year of the Horse one, and you can see he's actually a little bit taller than proper MP10, so very impressive for his size. So let's take Prime away, and let's get on to one last thing. Say you don't want this sword here, they got you covered. You know, you just want him sitting there looking cool, and you want this kind of slung on his back. No problem, just take this, give a little pressure on it, and rotate it all the way around, and there's a peg hole right in there. You take your sword here, flip down this, very nicely shaped with a little lip here for you to, can you see that? There it is, the lip, so you can grab it, and you know, it just pegs right in there. I mean, that's that's pretty cool, and it didn't take much effort. And now your Prime's got his sword held on his back. It would have. The only thing I think that could have made it cooler would have been if something, you know, compressed this cab a little and it could be on an angle across his back. But again, nitpicking. And I think this guy just looks fantastic. So let's get this guy back to his vehicle mode and let's get out of here. We'll go ahead and flip this all the way around so we hide that. We'll go ahead and we'll start with his fists. Take these, open them up, flip them, and close them on up. You do need the fists to have the fingers facing inwards, so rotate it and close it up. That is good to go. We can now kind of get these arms ready here for their final destination. We're going to come around to the back here, bring these just around to the side for now. Once again, open this a little just to get this to come up. And I don't think you can, yeah, it'd be pretty hard to get your finger in there to pop it up from the other side, so you definitely kind of want to use this. And it only opens that far, so keep that in mind. And then this comes up like this. So now we're going to take Optimus, we're going to flip his head. That's going to get us exactly the clearance we need. And the one thing I've experimented with, you can leave his head like this in there, but for some reason it does just honestly work better if once it's inside here you take the extra second and flip his head so it's back forwards again and then put it in. Like the other way, you see how far back that angles when it's left the other way, and I can't figure out why exactly. It's hard to see in there once the head's in there, but watch. If we leave it this way, that's as far back as it goes. See how it's not angled back at all? So definitely take 2 seconds and flip the head all the way around, and then boom, the whole thing collapses in there. From there we can close this up. We don't want to forget this, so we'll take this and pull it. It's not very much that it splits apart, so don't be trying to rip it apart. You should see that gap here, which I suppose gives him an ab crunch, which I didn't mention, if you really want that. So that's pretty cool. From here, let's undo our ab crunch, because we don't need that. Take the arms and kind of rotate them so they're going to work. We want them to come up and past the shoulder bits, just like this. And then we can kind of go ahead and fix these parts of the arms. So let's go ahead and do that again. Get it so it clears. And then these should peg together. And then these just come down to the side like this. You can see there's a ridge back here and a little like tab here. It just kind of guides them in. It doesn't really peg in, so I don't know. Sometimes I found that those arms will pop out, but it's not really that big of a deal. So there we go. We got the front of the truck. We can just kind of clean things up here. Looks like I could use an extra click out of these arms to bring them together. There we go. Let's check the top, see how it looks up. Lost our pegging. There we go. Perfect. So now we'll take these pieces here, bring them all the way around, and I guess we can bring these back, just maybe not. Let's just leave them like that for now, just to be careful. Unfold this and bring it down to cover that up. And now we're on to the legs, which aren't very hard, but if you don't know what you're looking for in the instructions, they were a little unclear at first. So bring these panels around to fill in that detail. It's also going to help the legs peg together. Bring the heel spur all the way down and the foot up. Just like so. And now, I for the life of me couldn't figure out how to get these to collapse. I pegged them together and they're like, and now just put them in. But what they don't really tell you is there's these little switches here that you want to push this and it lets you get it started. So once you get them started going in, that's when you can peg these together and finish the job. And you don't want them to be all the way pegged in, because you need to take these pieces and they're going to come around here, and when we drop these wheels down, they should slot into the little holes on each side. And then that's when you're going to want to give your legs their extra final little push into place. And everything should be kind of locked in on the sides here. Just like that. So now we're pretty much done. The only thing we have left to do, because obviously he's not going to roll with these down here, just go ahead, put your fingers on them and pull them down on each side. I said pull it down on each side. There we go. And he's back in his truck mode. So overall, I think this guy is great. He looks great next to any black repaint of an official MP car. He looks awesome next to exhaust. And he even looks great next to the Transformation Stunticons. I have no problem saying I recommend this guy highly. If you are interested in the G2 Prime at all and not interested in Scourge, I don't think you're going to be disappointed if you pick up the G2 Prime. I've even been half tempted to pick up the G2 Prime because he is so good. I am definitely glad I got him. He is one of my favorite purchases of 2017 so far. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next time.